Hi. Thanks for clicking on Simply Tanika. I am Tanika. So today I wanted to talk about two supplements that are meant to help women who are over 40 or who have diminished ovarian reserve. They are DHEA and Ubiquinol. So a few weeks ago, I did a video on supplements and I did a lot of research and I got a lot of comments about questions on DHEA and CoQ10, which is a form of ubiquinol. So I wanted to do a more in-depth conversation and just let's have a chit chat about it, right? I just want to tell you what I know about these medications and what my specific experience has been with them. So first of all, DHEA, this is micronized DHEA, and I'll get to why that's important in a second. But there was a woman here in New York who was being treated by the Center for Human Reproduction, and she was 43 years old, and she was looking to freeze her eggs. And so when she first went in, she did not have a lot of eggs. She had some. She started secretly taking DHEA. They call her patient zero. She started secretly taking the DHEA and her egg count increased. And so she was able to freeze eggs for later. And the doctors couldn't explain it because usually it goes the other way, right? You don't increase, usually you decrease. And so they were kind of scratching their heads like, what's going on? And so she was like, hey, doc, I have a secret. I have been secretly taking this DHEA. And that is why my eggs are so abundant now. And somewhere along the way, she had read some research on it, or there had been some study, and that's how she kind of got onto it. But so now that clinic now prescribes that as part of their protocol. So they prescribe 75 milligrams of DHEA. And there are a lot of studies in the US and in Canada on the DHEA. And basically, it's an androgen, and so if they recommend that you get your hormones tested first and foremost. So it could do things like make you hairier or acne, which I've experienced it. I already have acne, but it definitely is like flared up on my back since taking the DHEA, but it's okay. If it gets me a baby, I'm fine with that. If you have PCOS, it's indicated that you not take DHEA. It's not a hormone, and it is a hormone. It's an androgen, which will be converted to testosterone in your body, so that's why you have to be careful. All the literature recommends that you have your levels tested before you start supplementing. In the studies, people have taken anywhere from 25 to 100 milligrams, and no one's taking anything over 100 milligrams, but you can Google it and you'll see some of the research that's been done on it. The microionize is important because it helps with absorption. And in a lot of the studies, people took 75 milligrams. That was the norm, right? Now, some took 75 all at once, and some spread it out over the day. There was no significance, at least in the results of the study, that I could find that made a difference. So whatever you're comfortable with, I take mine. Sometimes I take them all at once, and sometimes I don't. There's no methodology for me. I'm not like, oh, I have to have one at 8 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock and one at 9 o'clock. It's not like the fertility meds where it has to be on a specific time. So I started taking these in June 21st. Well, first, let me go back. My first RE appointment, I went in May. And when your first appointment, well, at least for my clinic, I go to RMA here in New York, they did an antral follicle count, right? An AFC test on me. And basically your antral follicles are how many follicles were ready to have an egg be dominant that month. So every month your eggs kind of like wake up and they're like, hey, what's going on? And the hormones start surging and they start getting prepared for release. And then one of them takes over, if you're not on medication, and becomes the dominant follicle. And that's the one that's going to mature, release the egg, become the corpus luteum. So the eggs that wake up every month, that's what they're counting in the antral follicle count. So when the doctor went to count mine, I had none at all on my right side. And I had 5 or 6 on my left side, which she originally said it was as expected. And then she said it was better than average for my age, right? And so right side was completely sleepy. So that was in May, right? Right side completely sleepy. and left side 5 or 6. So I started taking the DHEA June 21st, and my acupuncturist recommended what she recommended was CoQ10. And then I did some research on it. CoQ10 comes in 2 forms. It's ubiquinone and ubiquinol. So once I found the research out, I switched. I'd purchased ubiquinone, and I was taking like 300 milligrams. And I didn't want to waste it, so I'd already spent the money on it, so I continued to use those. And then in August, I switched to ubiquinol when I was out of the other ones. And so that is the ubiquinol, and I take 300 milligrams. Those tablets they're like this. It's like a larger size compared to that. So 300 milligrams, I take those every day. Cycle day 3 through 7, I double up and I go to 600 milligram. If you're taking the ubiquinol, it's about double or triple the strength of the ubiquinone. And this is for cellular development, mitochondria specifically. It helps give your mitochondria energy. So both of these, the DHEA and the ubiquinol, the CoQ10, naturally occur in our body. So it's not like a new random drug that you're introducing into your body. Like specifically if you take royal jelly, that doesn't naturally occur in your body, right? You're adding something to it. This is already in your body. It declines as we age, as a lot of things do, which makes sense, right? Like your fertility should naturally decline. You don't want to wake up at 60 one morning and find out you're accidentally pregnant. So Mother Nature is taking care of that for us. So started this in August, had this in my system since June. Every scan that I had, my right side was still sleepy. So went in June, it was sleepy, meaning there was nothing there, prepping for ovulation. July, there was something there, but it ovulated late, so I only had the one, and that's a whole other story, but it was an unmedicated cycle. I was traveling. I never got a temp rise. We went in and took my progesterone, and it was like 0.2 whatever, and so they knew I didn't ovulate, so they gave me a trigger, but it did show that my right side did have a follicle that was like 20 millimeters. So good that it rose, but something was not quite right with it, right? It didn't ovulate on its own. I had also taken melatonin on that unmedicated cycle, and the doctor said that could contribute, but it just was, it was a dud, for lack of a better word. So that was like a month after. With the DHEA, they recommend that you take it for 90 days, at least 90 minimum before you'll see, which is 3 months before you'll see it. So from 3 months to 5 months, and then you should start seeing an improvement. So sure enough, I would say not in August, so August, September, October, I had two follicles ready, one on the right and one on the left. Now, mind you, that is with the medication, right? That's with the Letrozole / Femara, which is helping bring about ovulation, but it doesn't bring back eggs. It's only in your system for 5 days. So I do believe that was the DHEA. And then, so I had 2 also in November. Let me look at my notes. Okay, so in November, I had 2 follicles that were ready, and the right side was the larger follicle. It was 23, left side was 21. So that was the first time that it had been like the front runner, right? If there had been no medication, we could reasonably derive that would have been the one that would have ovulated on its own. And then in December, I had only one that was ready to go. It was 19.5. It was on the right side. And then I had a 14 on the left side that wasn't going to make it before trigger. But so my right side woke up and was like making eggs and ovulating. And so that was amazing. And I really believe it was a combination of the DHEA and the ubiquinol. The ubiquinol, like I said before, gives your cells energy, feeds the mitochondria, which helps. And why is the mitochondria important? So not only for the production of the egg, but after the egg is fertilized, it's got to get from your fallopian tube into your uterus for implantation. If you've been at the TTC game for a while, you know that can take about 6 days, 3 to 6 days for it to travel on down. Well, while it's traveling, it's dividing like crazy, right? And then it's got to have enough energy to implant. where is all this energy coming from for it to divide and for it to implant? It's coming from the mitochondria that were in the egg. And everyone's like, well, what about the dad? Didn't the sperm have mitochondria? The sperm had mitochondria and it spent it all getting to the egg. So by the time the egg is starting to divide, the only energy that's contributing to its division is the mitochondria, the energy that came from the mom's egg, which you can help boost with the ubiquinol form of CoQ10. And what's the difference between the ubiquinol and the ubiquinone? Ubiquinol is more readily absorbed by the body. Ubiquinone is not, and there's an electron, a negative and a positive, that makes a difference if you want to research it. But this one is more readily absorbed by the body. It's made by a company in Japan, so they've patented it. They have patented it. It's Kaneka or Kanika, Kaneka. I think that's right. I don't have my glasses on. If it's not, I'll put it I'll put it somewhere. I think that's right, though. So if you're buying one and it doesn't specifically say ubiquinol, you're probably getting the other one. It costs a little more, but if it's more potent, it makes sense, right? So you can have a lower milligram of this than the other stuff and get the same benefit. So yeah, those are the two that I highly recommend for anyone who is over 40, who is on the TTC journey, or if you've been diagnosed with diminished ovarian reserve or premature ovarian reserve. These two are great to help boost. Again, everybody recommends have your testosterone and DHEA tested before you supplement with that. Talk to your doctor. You want to make sure that you're working with your reproductive endocrinologist so that they know what medicines you're taking, because there could be some contraindications if you're also taking fertility meds. So by all means, check with all your health care professionals and make sure you have sign off or buy-in from everyone. It's a partnership, so you just want to make sure you're in communication and that you're not doing anything that's counterproductive to what they're doing, right? Because then it defeats the purpose of why you're going to them. So lots of questions on these two, and so I just wanted to have a video specifically to talk about the DHEA and the CoQ10. So remember, you want micro-ionized DHEA. Studies have shown 75 milligrams daily for at least 90 for trying to get pregnant. And then the CoQ10, you want it in the ubiquinol form. And I'm taking 300 milligrams. Build up to that. I think with any of these, even with the DHEA, I didn't start off straight away with the 75 milligrams. I started off at 25. You want to see how your body tolerates it and what your side effects are going to be. So I did that. I kept a journal. Before I started taking all my supplements, I kept a journal of what was happening. And then as I added them, I took notes. And so I went back and looked at the notes to prep for this video today. But I took notes so I could see okay, now I have, a headache or a sinus infection or more back acne. So I could see some sort of correlation. And I added one at a time so that I could see how my body was responding. Because I think if you throw in everything all at once, you don't know what's good, what's bad. If you have an allergic reaction, what caused it, and then you have to stop everything. So my approach was to take one at a time and introduce it and take notes. I'm a data freak, but that's my recommendation: is don't go overboard. Start with one at a time. Start with the lower dosage. Add on as you're going, and make sure you consult with your doctor. All right. Best of luck to you. If you've tried either of these and have a great success story, please leave it in the comments below. Even when other people don't comment, they read them and they get inspired by them. Sometimes they send me notes. And so I think it's always helpful to share our information. We're all here as resources together, and let's all win together. Let's all share the information and get to our BFPs and our take-home babies. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with anyone who you think might find it useful. Leave me your thoughts and comments below. Thanks for watching. Baby dust to you all.